Stop waiting to be ready. Stop chasing advice. Stop waiting for a guru to tell you what to do. Stop outsourcing your life to people who don't walk in your shoes. Look, there's nothing wrong with learning from mentors. I've had some of the most amazing mentors who's taught me some of the most important things in my life. Right? But there's a fine line between learning and depending. And most men I come across are stuck depending. They can't move unless someone certifies their path. Right? They binge watch YouTube, they buy every course, they ask endless opinions, all because they do not trust their own judgment. Right? And if that stings a little, then you know it's true. If you do not learn to trust yourself, you will stay stuck in a loop of hesitation, self-doubt, and you'll be on a one-way road to fucking nowhere. Right? You become a man who knows everything but does fucking nothing. But today, we will fix that. I'm going to show you how to become a self-referenced man. A man who moves from inner alignment. Clear, calm, unstoppable. Right? And yes, okay, of course, it's good to learn from others. But you'll never be led by them because you will know who the real authority is, and that is you. Right? And why does my 2 cents matter on this topic? Right? Because most of my life, up until quite recently, I was not self-referenced. I was addicted to answers, addicted to seeking, addicted to external validation. Every time shit got hard, I would look outside myself. What does this book say? What does this coach say? What's the latest strategy? How do I need to fix this problem? I was jumping from one guru to the next, one course to the next, one video to the next, always thinking someone knew better than me. But see, underneath it, all of that bullshit, I just did not trust myself. I didn't trust my own judgment. I didn't trust my own intuition. I didn't even trust my own experience. Even after my spiritual awakening, after I had received messages, visions, guidance, right, I still found myself looking for permission from others, right? And there was got to a point when all I relied on was receiving messages from guides. It was at one point when I look back, I was probably the weakest that I've ever been because there was nothing coming from me. I was relying so much on others, right? And I remember the moment it hit me, right? I had just finished another expensive program, right? With another mentor, right? Trying another method with another proven path, right? And I normally would receive messages, downloads, or from spirit guides, and they did not come. Okay. And I tried and I tried, and they did not come. And I felt abandoned. I felt abandoned, and I thought to myself, what am I going to do? Right? I'm never going to receive another message. I'm never going to receive another guidance, and I panicked. Right? And it was such an uncomfortable feeling. Right? And I honestly did not know what to do. I was frustrated. I was overloaded. I had this mental chatter, and I thought, I'm never going to, know what my next step is. Okay? But it never happened straight away, believe you me. But the penny dropped pretty soon after it because I wasn't receiving messages for that specific reason. I was relying on everything outside of me, right? I didn't need more information. I didn't need more channeled messages. I didn't need more books, more podcasts, more YouTube videos. I needed to put my shit into practice, right? I needed more integration. I needed to find more trust in myself, more alignment with my own inner compass. And this is my compass right here. This is before I started all this, right? And that's why my compass is so important because I needed to trust my own lived experience, right? Because see, the real guru, right? The real guru had been with me the whole time. The same as the real guru is with you, and he always has been, right? My life, my mistakes, my intuition. That's my authority. That's my guru, the same as you. You're the only one who's lived your life. You're the only one who's made your mistakes. You're the only one who can tap into your intuition. Okay, and when the penny dropped for that, right? I promised myself I was never going to put a man, a spirit guide, anything on a pedestal above myself. Right? Yes, I will learn from others, but you know what? I'm going to lead myself. And that's the shift that totally transformed my life. And that's a shift that I want you to make. And I say that to you when I'm here on YouTube doing a video. But listen, I'm not asking you to believe me. I'm asking you to listen to see what resonates with you. And you do what feels good for you. Don't do anything that I tell you to do. You listen, you watch, and if something hits home and you think, right, that aligns with me, then yeah, good. But see if it doesn't, just fucking don't watch it, right? Don't listen to my advice. Because the moment that you stop outsourcing your power, that's when you will start to live as a king and not as a seeker. Okay, because you you have the blueprint within you, right? You have your own purpose, your blueprint. It's all inside you, right? Nobody can go into that and see your blueprint. Only you can. You've always had the map. You just haven't been looking at the map. You haven't been going inwards. Because every man comes into his life with his internal compass, right? A knowing, right? Call it a soul, higher self, the God within. Doesn't matter what you label it. You have it. You feel it. It's always been there. Okay, that gut instinct when something feels wrong. That quiet, pull to something bigger, something greater. Even when shit doesn't make sense, right? That's intuition. See, from the moment you were born, the world has conditioned you to ignore it. Be a good boy, follow the rules, do this, don't do that, okay? Do what you're told, don't speak back, right? The school systems have been the worst. Religion, again, the worst. Even most self-help gurus, they don't teach you to think, right? They teach you to comply, to outsource your power. So stop listening to them and start listening to yourself, right? And the ancient wisdom have always known this, okay? Because the divine doesn't shout. Your intuition doesn't shout. It whispers. It's subtle. And you will not find it scrolling on Instagram, on TikTok, following the next guru on YouTube. You will find it when you go inwards, okay? When you find the stillness within, in reflection, and doing the hard work of sitting with yourself. Spiritual awakening isn't adding more. It's just remembering who you already are. It's about removing the shit that's conditioned you for all these years. And when you reconnect to that inner voice, your intuition becomes your superpower. Right? Neville Goddard, he called it the inner speech. Hermeticists, they call it mentalism. Right? The Christian mystics, it's the still small voice of God. It's always been about trusting what's inside you over outside. All the time. Right? And the Stoics got this right before social media existed. Epictetus taught, no man is free who is not master of himself. Right? So what does that mean to you? Right? It means that you cannot be free if your thoughts, your decisions, and your emotions are owned by anyone else. Right? If your sense of self depends on what others think, then you're in chains. Right? Marcus Aurelius didn't write his meditations for his followers on TikTok and fucking Facebook. No, he wrote it for himself, to keep himself aligned, to remind himself daily that clarity comes from within, not from the crowd. A self-referenced man doesn't reject advice, he listens, but he filters it through his own intuition, his own values, his own lived truth. That is true freedom. Right? And psychology calls it self-referencing. The ability to form judgments based on your own internal standards, not the external noise. right? But most men, they can't hear their intuition because they've been taught to live in their heads, not in their body. Their mind racing, overthinking, analysing everything, looking for certainty everywhere. And as I've said, intuition isn't found in noise, it's found in stillness. Right? It's a body based intelligence. Okay, and if you look at the work of Dr. Gabor Mate, right, he does extensive work in addiction and trauma. That's how I found him, okay, through the addiction side. But he teaches that trauma disconnects us from our gut instinct. So as kids, we learn to betray our own feelings just to stay safe, to be accepted. So we grew up second guessing ourselves, thinking our power was out there with someone smarter, older, more successful. No, the moment that you slow down, breathe, and reconnect with your body, you start to remember. Okay? See that tight chest, that gut twist, okay? That calm certainty, even when logic says, don't do it. That is your super computer speaking, right? It knows. It always knew, right? And Carl Jung's individualization process is that exact journey, unlearning the noise of the collective and returning to your authentic self, becoming whole by integrating what was once unconscious. That's how you stop being a pawn in someone else's game. Okay? And this is not some spiritual woo woo. This is scientific, right? It's wiring. Intuition is not some magical fairy dust. It's not just a feeling. It's your nervous system and subconscious processing data faster than your conscious mind can. Right? It's pattern recognition on a level your logical brain can't explain in real time. Right? There's a Nobel Prize winning psychologist. His name was Daniel Kahneman, and he terms it system one thinking, fast, automatic, intuitive. Right, when you walk into a room and you feel something's off, right, your body has picked up micro signals, subtle cues, environmental data. You didn't think something was off, you felt something was off. Right, because your subconscious mind processes roughly 11 million bits of information per second, while your conscious mind can only handle 50 bits per second. So this isn't guesswork, this is physics. Right? And the Heart Math Institute, that also says that the heart sends more signals to the brain than the brain sends to the heart. So your heart's electromagnetic field, it can be measured up to 3 feet outside your body. So it picks up energy and information before your brain can even process it. This is why you get your gut feelings and the heart wisdom. They're real, they're biological processes. So intuition it's not some spiritual soft phrase. It's primal, it's ancient, it's a built-in survival mechanism, right? But the modern life that we live in, it numbs it with noise, with distraction, with overthinking, with fucking social media, with drugs, alcohol, everything. And it's time that we go back and reclaim it. We need to cultivate it through stillness, through awareness, through presence. Things like meditation, breath work, time in nature, journaling your thoughts. And it's no coincidence that when I started all of these things, I had a massive spiritual awakening. My life got massively better in every single area. I became a better human being. Right? So when you might see them now because they're getting popular with the water therapy and the plunges and the meditation. Right? These have been about for millenniums. They aren't trends. These are real tools that sharpen your intuition, that sharpen that inner compass. Right? So every tradition, even philosophy, and even the science points to the same thing. A man who trusts his own judgment, right, born of that inner awareness, he will become unstoppable. He's not reckless. He's not arrogant. He's sovereign, right? The world doesn't need more sheep followers. It needs more self-led men, awakened savages, men who can stand there, who can make clear decisions, and trust themselves and move with that inner authority. You already have all the answers within. You just have forgot how to hear them or how to listen. And this is not about self-help. This is about self-mastery. Right? And it starts by tuning into the one voice that will never lie to you, ever. And that's your own. That's a voice you should be listening above all else. Right? So it's okay to understand this and you have the insights, and I've given you some of the wisdom and the science to back it up. Right? So you understand now why trusting yourself is not an option. It's fucking essential. But knowing this means nothing, okay, if you don't integrate it. Right? It's okay to watch this and go back to your normal life and say, oh, that was a good video, maybe give it a like, maybe subscribe. But if you do nothing with it, it means fuck all. Right? I'm not here just to entertain. I'm here to change, to impact. So this isn't about learning another method. This is about becoming the kind of man who trusts his own inner authority more than anybody else. So that you can then go and pass that on to your son, your nephew, the future generation. This is an identity shift. So, because right now, you've got two versions, pulling at you. You've got the man who's outsourced, okay, looks confident on the outside, but he's always looking around before he makes a move. He checks Google, Wikipedia, YouTube, Instagram. He needs a validation before he'll take any action. He's waiting for some guru to give him permission to live his own life. Right? Deep down, he doubts himself. Right? So he's collecting more opinions, more strategies, more information, but he never does anything with it. Why? Because his sense of certainty comes from outside himself. And that's a losing game. Right? Or you can choose to step into the shoes of the other man, the self-referenced man, a man who has awakened that savage within. He plays a different game. He's not reckless. He still learns every day. But every piece of advice he hears gets filtered through his own inner compass. He knows his values. He trusts his gut. He doesn't flinch or give a shit when anyone doubts him. This man is truly dangerous. And I mean dangerous in the best kind of way. Right? Because his power is not rented, it's owned. And when you become this man, something shifts. You stop asking for approval. You stop explaining yourself. You stop outsourcing your clarity. And guess what? Ironically, that's when people start to seek your leadership, start asking for your advice. Not because you're louder, because you've got the energy, because you're aligned. This is an identity upgrade, not a new habit. Most men want a how-to, a quick fix, the next hack, give me the steps, the morning routine. Right? That's surface level thinking. The real work is an identity transformation. You must become the man who references himself first. Right? This isn't about trying harder. It's about being different. And how do you do that? You do that by making a choice. From today, I choose to trust my inner authority more than any external noise. Right? You anchor this choice in your actions. Right? When you want to ask someone else something, pause and ask yourself first. Right? When doubt pops up, breathe, feel into your gut or your heart, right? And you act from alignment. When mistakes happen, you take full ownership and you learn from that experience. You don't go and blame other people. This is self-leadership, true self-leadership. And every time you do this, you are then casting a vote for the identity of a true awakened savage, a self-referenced man. Okay, because let's look at the science behind this. Right? Your brain is basically like plastic. Right? It can rewire itself based on repeated experiences. So neuroplasticity, right? It proves that you can change how you think, how you feel, and how you act at any age. So every time you act from a point of self-reference, you're building a new neural pathway of trust. You're reinforcing a new identity. You're shifting from, I hope I'm right, to, I know this is right for me. Over time, this just becomes automatic. No more overthinking. No more, paralysis. You don't become self-referenced by waiting to feel ready. You become self-referenced by choosing to be. It's time to stop being a seeker and start being a creator. Because a seeker chases answers outside of himself. Okay? A creator realizes he is the answer. This doesn't mean you stop learning. It means you stop abandoning your own knowing. Knowing is so important. See, if you could just adopt the mentality of knowing, you could create in an instant. The problem is we doubt our knowing, and that's why we don't create as fast as we actually can. Right? The self-referenced man leads himself. And see, because of that, this is why he becomes a man worthy of following. Every time you choose your own inner guidance over the external noise, you're not just making a decision, you're creating a new identity. Right? The identity of an awakened savage, a self-led sovereign man. That's how you win at this game of life. Okay? And you don't become a self-referenced man by watching more videos, reading more books. You become him through deliberate practice. So let's look at the 5-step savage battle plan to trust yourself more than any guru. Okay? There is no such thing as inaction. Right? You're either taking action towards the man you want to become or away from it. So step number 1, okay? Declutter the noise. You cannot hear your own voice if it's drowned out by 100 others. Okay? Unfollow 90% of the mentors you consume, right? If they're not aligned with your core values, disconnect, right? Take a 7-day, no opinion detox, no podcasts, no self-help content, no scrolling. Just sit with yourself. Okay? Why do we do this? Right? Because you're not cutting yourself off from growth. You're cutting yourself off from dependency. The only voice you need right now is your own. You need to build that relationship up with yourself, your intuition. Okay? Number 2, build a self-reference habit. Right? Every time you have a decision to make, you have a choice. You can outsource it or you can self-source it. So, before asking others for advice, literally stop and ask, what do I already know about this? Okay? What feels aligned for me? Write down your own solution first, right? And only if needed, after it, then seek counsel. But treat it as a perspective, not as gospel. Because clarity comes from practice, not passivity. So the more you do this, the stronger you're building the muscle. Okay? Step number 3, train that intuition daily, right? You want to be able to trust that intuition, right? But in order to trust it, you've got to use it to build up that muscle. So start each morning, right, with a 5-minute intuitive check-in. Right? Just ask yourself, what's one action I feel called to take today? Not from fear, not from logic overload, just from a just gut level resonance. Okay? And when you're faced with choices throughout the day or important choices, feel into your body. Is it tight and constricted? That normally means you should not be doing that. Is it expansive, energized? That's probably a yes. But I would take it one step further. I would learn to listen to your body. So ask yourself questions or give yourself statements, right, to determine what a yes and a no feels like in your body. Right? So for me, the way this works, right, I know that a yes, I have this excited, kind of fuzzy, nice feeling here in my heart area. And I know for a no, I have this dull feeling in the bottom of my gut. Okay, so if I'm going to do something, I'll check in with myself and I'll see if it feels aligned. If I have a feeling down here, then I'm not making that choice. If it's up here, then I'm making that choice. Or another way to do it is if you stand up, right? You can say, for example, say your name's John and you say my name's Bob, right? Your body will react in some type of way. So even if you stand up, and for me, if I'm getting a yes, my body rocks forward. If I get a no, my body rocks back. So it's just about learning to listen to the body. Everyone's different, right? So don't take mine as yours. I also use sometimes a pendulum, right? And I'll ask a question and it'll go back and forward for a yes and it'll go left to right for a no, for a, so everybody's different, but it's so important to understand your intuition is a muscle, right? The more you listen, the louder it becomes. Right, Bob Proctor, he puts, you know, all of his success down to his intuition, and he passed away recently. But that guy created massive success, and he put it all down to his intuition. And there's plenty of other people out there who also confirm that your intuition is a superpower, and if you can learn to cultivate that and listen to it, because it will never lie to you, you will always get the clear guidance from it. Okay. Step number 4, the decision rep protocol. Stop hesitating. Start building, right? Start doing those reps. Okay. So action. Okay. Make 3 small gut led decisions daily. Could be simple, right? What workout feels best for me today, right? Or should I work out today, right? Because maybe your body doesn't want to work out today and you're trying to force it. That's a mistake I made when I was so obsessed with getting a six pack and I wasn't listening to my body. And there was this one day when I knew that my body was telling me no, but I went for it and I still pushed hard. I ended up, my body broke down for 3 weeks. I was out the gym, right? So, but just ask yourself, right, what workout feels best today, right? What messages do I need to share today, right? Or even with food. Is this the food that my body needs, right? What conversations have I been avoiding, right? Just track your decisions. This is about building the relationship up with yourself, right? And then at the end of the day, you ask, did I follow my gut? Did I follow my heart? How did that feel? What did I learn? Right? Because the repetitions will build trust. Every decision you own strengthens your self-reference muscle. Okay. And number 5, own the consequences. Okay. Radical ownership. And this is what separates the self-referenced man from the man who's lost in the wilderness. Ownership. Right? When your decisions work out, yeah, own it. When it backfires, also own it. Right? After every major decision, just do a 2-3 minute debrief. What worked? What didn't? What will I do different next time? Right? This isn't about being right every time. It's about becoming right through experience. Because wisdom isn't given, it's earned through trial, error, reflection, and radical ownership. Right? Self-trust isn't built in books or theory. It's built in the arena through deliberate choices, intuitive action, and just ruthless ownership. Every rep that you take rewires you into the man who leads himself. This is your battle, right? Simple, direct, non-negotiable, right? Because as I said, right, the world doesn't need more sheep following gurus. It doesn't need more men outsourcing their power to experts. The world desperately needs is more men who trust themselves, their own alignment, the awakened savage, men who move from intuition, not from imitation, men who are guided by their own inner compass, not from the latest trend on TikTok, men who lead themselves fully, unapologetically, and they don't give a fuck what people think about them. Right? Because see, when a man trusts himself, he becomes dangerous to everything that feeds on weakness. Fear cannot control him, society cannot mold him, and opinions cannot fucking sway him. This is the man you're here to become. Self-referenced, unshakable, and free. And make no mistake about it, this is a practice, a discipline. You don't just flip the switch and all of a sudden I've arrived. You build this day by day through small acts of self-trust, through listening, through choosing alignment over approval. Right? Use this mantra. I am the only one qualified to lead my life. Say it every single day, multiple times a day. Right? Feel it. Live it. Right? And this is your call to action, brothers. Just comment below. Right? I trust myself to lead. Just declare it, cement it. Right? Join the brotherhood, subscribe and join us. Right? Because if this message hit home and you've got this far into it, it's obviously you've got something from it. So hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, give it a little like, right? Because I'm only about 66 days into this journey, and this channel is reigniting the fire in my belly. The message that I get from the men already, it touches my heart. And this channel is for men who are done following, who are ready to lead themselves. Okay? And as I said, I don't have all the answers. I am just figuring shit out, and on my way of giving back is presenting my learnings to the world. And whoever wants to join me, I appreciate you, and I'm thankful for that. Okay? So if this did hit home, share it with another man who needs to hear it. Somebody who's stuck and self-doubt, always looking for answers outside of himself. Okay? Just invite him to the party. Because remember, brother, you are perfect just as you are. You just maybe haven't found what works for you yet. But the moment you accept that you are perfect, your life will change. Because you're not broken. You do not need fixed. You've just been trained to ignore your own genius. And it's time that shit stops right now. It's time to reclaim it. No guru can give you what's already inside of you. You are the only one who can awaken it. You can do that right now. Lead yourself, and the rest will follow. And as always, I truly appreciate you for being here. You're not alone. We're in this together. And I love you from the bottom of my heart. Have a great day. I'll catch you on the next one. I have a video here, and you can subscribe here. Take care.